and Dr. TiE. Dr. TiE will conduct this session. I request Parimal to please welcome Ms. Ramnathkar. Okay, TiE, I hand over.
A very good interaction with a leading woman entrepreneur. The first question which came in my mind when I was going through her story, a typical Maharashtrian family girl became an entrepreneur. How?
Yeah, I was a typical Maharashtrian girl, and way back in 1970s is when I got married. And believe me, it wasn't as advanced thinking as it is today. So when I got married into this big family, there was no one working. None of my sister-in-laws, my husband's, we have a large family. My husband has 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and he's the 7th of all of them. And none of the brides were working. None of his sisters were working. One was a doctor, but she ran away and got married, and no one, everybody spoke in hushed voices about her. But other than that, there was no one working in their house. So it was like a huge house with no need to work. I could have just sat back and enjoyed Marine Drive. I was in one of the better areas of Bombay. I could have just sat back and let life flow by. But I was really restless, and I felt really like a piece of furniture in their house, because there was someone to cook. Not that I knew cooking very well, but there was someone to cook, there was someone to clean the house. And what was I doing here? Waiting for my husband every evening to come and take. You know, it was, I was educated, not overly educated. Let me tell you, I am average. I was educated, I was a science student, I had done my mass comm after that. But I felt, okay, what the hell am I doing here, you know? And after the first baby, I was really, you know, because she was growing up and everybody was taking care of her. I said, this is very great, everybody takes care of children here. So I must take full advantage of this and do something better with my life. So at that time, my brother was in IIT, he didn't know what the word bleach was, okay? He didn't even know what it was going to do. I pulled him in, I said, we have to do this. And you know, luckily, he was IIT in aeronautical engineering, but he interned in Lakme. So he started understanding the sales in Lakme. He was quite glitzy. So I said, chalo, now this guy is at the right time at the right place. So I have to catch him and make him do what I want. So at that time in 1982, my second daughter was in the meantime born in 1981. So in 1982, we came out with the first bleach called film. And the rest, as you know, is history, and that's how I started. But let me tell you, I didn't expect to go this far. I thought this was a hobby which could be nurtured on the side, and I could still be a nice housewife, and this could go on the side, and my brother would do all the work, and I would, you know, things like that. But it became so overwhelming because my brother couldn't sell the bleach, he could only manufacture. And the selling, the distribution, the promotions, the advertising, the exports, the marketing, everything had to be done by me. So it was overwhelming after a while.
When you started this particular activity, I'm sure that you must be having certain business plan or maybe a strategic activity.
Nothing. In fact, Dad gave us, my father, he's a doctor, and according to him, we made some malam. But he gave us a small shed in MIDC in Andheri. He said, okay, you do what you want, but when you earn, you please pay me for my shed, you know. So he gave us a small gala kind of a thing, and I was a chemistry graduate. So me and my brother hacked our brains, and we developed this cream. And we called, then of course Sunil had to go abroad to actually fine-tune the whole thing with Jolan, etc. But when he came, it was of no use. Whatever Jolan had, we couldn't get at that time over here. The ingredients were not available. the indigenous ingredients that we had, the chemicals which we had over here, were not what they used over there at all. So we had to start from scratch actually. So over there, we used to call the workers once a week. They would manufacture, pack and go, and I had to sell, make that money, and out of that money, we would manufacture the next batch. This is how we went. And how could I sell those pieces made? They would make some 4 or 5 cartons. That's what we could afford to be made in one day. They would make that. I would demonstrate. I would go to Mahila Mandals, I would go to societies, I would go to Rotary clubs, I would go everywhere and actually demonstrate the bleach. I would mix it, apply it. Who has got a sensitive skin, who has got a darker skin, who has got fair skin. We would apply to 3 different kinds of people and we would give every little, small patches to all other people. Then we would wait for 15 minutes, we would talk about the product, and that's how, when people were convinced that it was good and it was really glowing, the faces were glowing, the hair was not seen and they were becoming fairer instantly or whatever, they would buy it and I would sell it. We would actually go with 2 peons with the product, we would sell it, collect the money, come back and bank that money and use it for the next production. That is how we started, and after that they would come twice a week, then thrice a week, and then every day, and then double shift, and then 3 shifts, and then out of Andheri.
Fantastic. I now would like to ask you the question, like being a very innovative product. You got an advantage of pioneership in this particular activity, isn't it? Or that time you were having the monopoly.
Yeah, there was a foreign bleach called Jolene available, but hardly 0.00001% people knew about it, and it was available at that time in the smuggled market at 400 rupees, so it was prohibitively expensive for anyone to use. But yes, there was a bleach abroad, but it didn't suit our skins totally. So we had to improvise it because our skins are thicker, we have a lot of more pigmentation, our hair is coarser while they had the hair bleach which is finer, their hair is finer. So we had to make it suitable for Indian skins, and after a stage people started preferring femme to the foreign product. So that's how we started gaining markets.
Convincing this particular product to the typical Indian mindset. Sure
but what helped us, it wasn't readily available.
Okay.
So only this was readily available. So we started explaining, in the parlor level, we started explaining the difference between femme and Jolene. We started explaining this to the people that this is femme and this is Jolene. This is how it is different. This is how it is better for your skin than Jolene. And that is how people started using it, applying it, liking it and buying it. Let me tell you, your product has to be good. It has to deliver. Whatever you may say, whatever you may do, how much ever you may advertise, we had no money to advertise at that time, but how much ever you do, if your product doesn't pep up to the expectations and if it fails in that test, that's the end of the product. So we passed it. We did not have much advertising. Whatever money we got, my parents were supporting my brother, my husband was supporting me. So we didn't have to take home any money. I remember we didn't take home anything at that time. We put everything we had back into the business, and whatever we did in terms of advertising, at that time I wish we had done well that time, because there was so much of scope to advertise in TV. There was only one Chayagi, there was one Hindi feature film, and had we captured the slots then, we would have got 100% eyeballs. But at that time also we did not have much money. So we had this 10-second spot which said that femme gori gori or some bleach, 10 minute, 15 minute gori gori. So by the time she turned and she finished the sentence, the ad got over. So even we realized that before we said hey pesto, the ad was, we didn't know when the ad came and when it went. So this was how it was at that time.
Okay, now moving ahead, I would like to ask one more question about, like, when the product is very innovative, right? It's been said in industry that you need to invest a lot of money into research and development, isn't it, to create a position of the product in the market. So how fame really took that?
So we actually did that. We had a lot of research. First thing we did was make a laboratory, and with a microbiological laboratory, with a proper research laboratory, and we had 2 or 3 PhDs working fine-tuning on our product, because it is a tough product. It is hydrogen peroxide which has to be stabilized. You know, hydrogen peroxide is one of the most unstable compounds. It has to be kept in a dark bottle because even the sunlight disintegrates it into water and oxygen. So hydrogen peroxide had to be stabilized. So it was a tough product. It required a lot of research, and we knew that, because certain batches used to fail, certain batches never failed. So the batches which did not fail used to go to the market, but we needed some good stabilizing materials. We needed a lot of research in that, and that we realized from the very, and it was a constant fight between us where to put the money, either research or marketing, research or advertising, research, factory or advertising, factory or promotions, factory or, you know. So we used to have a lot of tussle, because to make the product known was a big challenge. Even if your product, and luckily at that time there was only one big cosmetic company, and that was Lakme. And Lakme was in color cosmetics. It had nothing to do with bleach or any other thing. And Pond's was another cosmetic company which had creams and powder and things like that. So we had a niche which was very narrow, because nobody bleached in India. People went about with hair on their face, pimples on their face, dark faces, suntan, everything, but they just refused to bleach. So we had a challenge here. We had a niche product. We had a challenge. We had to literally convince every lady that she should look her best. She should feel confident when she steps out of her house. She should feel accepted, and she should not have hair on her face, or she should not have suntan. She should look presentable. So what we felt, every woman is beautiful within herself. If she only puts the right foot forward, if she only grooms herself well, if she only does good things to herself, you know, she need not be beautiful, she should be well groomed, was my aim. So that is why we traveled the length and breadth of the country, just because we found that Indian women were very good, but the way they did not bother only about how they look. You know, they did not think it was necessary for them to look good, or just putting a layer of powder was enough. In fact, in the south it was so obvious, because people were putting layers of powder, and on black skin it was looking like grey. But that was their idea of grooming, you know. So it was so difficult for us to tell them that you needed to really feel confident, you needed to look shining bright, you need not have the makeup, you need not put the lipstick, blusher or anything, but you needed to look your best, you know, you needed to feel good. So this is how we started demonstrating full countrywide. We had demonstrations in villages, in towns, in cities, and we, at first, no one used to buy. They used to all say, oh, very nice, she's looking so pretty, all her hair is camouflage, she's looking really nice. But I don't know whether I'll be allowed to use this by my husband or by my, you know. So we had a lot of resistance. But then came a stage then whenever a girl got married or whether she was getting engaged, she had to bleach. So we were graduating very, very, very gently. And after that, people made it a habit to bleach. So that's where we grew.
Okay, you started your company at Nashik. What was the reason?
We started a factory at Nashik after Andheri.
What was
Nashik was cheaper,
okay,
and there were SOPs, there were sales tax exemptions.
Okay.